Tips and tricks.
On Uno.
Oh no. Wait, why is this
2v2.
right?
Wait, we should do a 2v2, guys. I think 2v2 would be fun.
If Charlie wants to, he's the one who sets the rules. He's saying that you should have TV2. You want to make a 2v2 round?
Since we're all here.
All right, I want to request though that there's one time that we did a 2v2 and it ended ugly because we all got too emotionally in the game. So I'll ask to keep level heads during the game, okay?
Become one with the level.
It doesn't matter. It's like let him set the game. If it just turns out that I'm with Charlie, then cool. But if not, then cool. A 2v2. Charlie on the top right.
Whoever's with me is winning.
Okay, 2v2 is set.
2v2. 2v2.
Okay, 7-0 usually breaks it, but you can try if you want to. Okay. Alright, see if it works now. Alright, it sounds like Charlie, I'm gonna have to host it. Your thing's broken.
I don't have you as a friend.
I'm just gonna create in whoever I'm with. Or Ubisoft
I don't
can
have
just
you
be
as a
broken,
friend.
and then we'll just call for the game if Ubisoft's connection is just broken for the day.
I said
Well, even then, it looks like Charlie won't be able to join a game. I'll invite him and see if he sees it, but looks like his Ubisoft is done broken right now.
that's not good.
All right, you want to do Valhalla, Char? Okay, I'm sending the rules. Oh, why am I searching? Oh, I need to do create game. Create lobby. All right, so I'm going to do. I'm going to make the game. I'm going to first try inviting Char. If it doesn't work, then we'll just call for the game. We'll just go straight into reading. Because we tried. I'm going for more of a level space right now.
Did you try though?
All right, looks like I can't do Valhalla. We'll do Rabbits 2v2.
Oh, is it having issues?
No, it just right now. Oh, well, for Charlie's it is. Okay, so you want stacking, Char? Jump in. Draw to match. Do you want force play? No bluffing or with bluffing? Okay.
Wait, how come Valhalla didn't work?
Because I don't own it.
You own Rabbids?
I guess so. All right, Char, I sent you an invite.
What do you mean you guess so?
I guess I haven't.
Huh.
All right, let's just call it a day for trying to play Uno. All right, so it's late enough where we only need to do one section. So do you want to use our Battle Project card? And since Jason's already here, we only get one card of Battle Project. So you want to use it right now? Yeah. Okay.
This guy thinks he's gonna win. This guy thought. Wait, he can challenge me? I didn't know that.
Char. All right, so we're at how to read the Bible. We're at. We finished it. Yeah, we did the last one, right? Yeah, apocalyptic literature, which was awesome. Now, how to read biblical prose discourse. This is all the passages where it teaches you, kind of thing. Like it just straight up tells you like causes and effects and all that fun stuff. So you ready?
If you start reading the Bible from the beginning, you'll get about halfway through the second book, Exodus, and you'll come to a bunch of ancient laws.
Thou shalt do this, thou shalt not do that.
Now, these laws are all written in the literary style we call prose discourse, and they're found all over the second, third, fourth, and fifth books of the Bible. There's over 600 laws.
And since reading ancient law code isn't something you and your friends do a lot, odds are you're going to struggle. So, let's talk about how to read the law in the Bible.
So the first thing to remember is that the Bible is not a behavior manual with a complete list of what to do and not to do to make God happy.
Right, the Bible is an epic narrative. But in the story, God does tell people what to do.
For sure. The story begins with God's plan to rule the world through humans who will trust him and live by his wisdom. And here we find the first divine command in the Bible.
Don't eat from the tree of knowing good and evil, because the day you do, you'll die.
But the humans take the authority to know and define good and evil for themselves, and it's not good. It leads to a world of violence and death, and they're exiled from the garden.
Okay, so this was the first law in the Bible?
Well, it's the first divine command.
Are you just
and it
playing with
invites
people
to
online,
trust
Logan?
God and
Yep.
live
Oh,
Okay.
Justin, we're watching something, my friend.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Thank you.
people to trust God and live by his wisdom. And so while it's not part of the laws given to Israel, it does foreshadow them because those too are invitations to trust God's wisdom.
So when do the laws of Israel come?
Okay, here's the story. Israel is enslaved in Egypt, so God saves them and then invites them into a covenant relationship, like a marriage. And the laws make up the terms of that covenant.
And so do we get a catalog of all these laws that God gave Israel?
Actually, no, we don't get all of the laws, only examples. And these have been strategically placed in between stories about how Israel keeps violating the laws.
So I'm supposed to see that Israel's no different than the humans in the garden. They don't trust God or live by his wisdom.
Right. And so it leads to another round of tragedy, violence, and death.
And it ends in exile.
And so while the laws are good and show God's wisdom, they also expose Israel's inability to be God's faithful partners.
I'm following. But when I read the laws, I find a lot of strange stuff. Like not allowing clothing to be made of two different fabrics. Like how does that show God's wisdom?
Okay, so it's important to realize that many of these laws are ancient ritual symbols that set Israel apart, that is, made them holy. So some laws made Israel distinct from neighboring nations, while other laws kept them away from things that in their culture symbolized death, disease, and moral corruption.
Okay, but what about all of the ritual killing of animals?
Sacrifices were also ritual symbols that connected people to God. Since you, a mortal, can't ascend up to God's presence in the heavenly temple, a blameless animal that was offered could go up in your place, covering for your failures so you can know you're accepted by God.
I see. But not all of the laws are ancient rituals. Some of them are just about being a good person and treating others well.
Well, yes, but these laws aren't just about being good. They're about justice, which is a big deal to God. On the first page of the Bible, we learn that every human is made in God's image and is worthy of dignity. And these laws apply that ideal in Israel's day. In fact, these laws still underlie many of the concepts of justice and equality that we take for granted today.
But some of the laws don't seem just, like laws that allow for slavery.
Well, if you look at those laws in their ancient cultural context, you'll see that God's working with Israel as he finds them, pushing them towards justice. So slavery isn't abolished, but it is undermined. For example, Israel was supposed to reenact the Exodus liberation by releasing slaves and forgiving all debts every 7 years. This was revolutionary in the ancient world.
All right. Now, what about all the laws about Sabbath rest on the seventh day and all the 7-day feasts? I mean, what's up with all of these sevens?
Yeah, so these laws about sacred time are all connected to the first creation narrative in Genesis. God brings order out of chaos in 6 days that each have a clear beginning and end. But when you get to the 7th day, it has no end. That's because it's pointing to the ideal of humans partnering with God in his rule and rest. All of these 7-day feasts are rituals that symbolize humanity's true purpose and future hope.
Okay, so all of these laws given to Israel can fit into those basic categories.
Yes, and each category expresses a core ideal of God's wisdom, and the laws show how those ideals should be applied in the culture of ancient Israel.
But as the story makes clear, Israel failed at fulfilling the law over and over. How is God going to get humans to trust his wisdom?
Well, Moses and the prophets after him trusted that one day God would transform the human heart, so people can be faithful covenant partners who trust his wisdom. And that brings us to the story of Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus said he came to fulfill the law.
Right, he was the faithful covenant partner that Israel and all humanity was made to be, but has failed to be. Jesus lived by the divine ideals underlying the laws, and he taught that the laws are all fulfilled when you love God and love your neighbor as yourself.
And Jesus promised that God's Spirit would come and transform his followers so they too could live this way.
And so, when followers of Jesus read these laws today, we need to remember they were given to Israel in their ancient cultural setting. You couldn't follow many of them even if you tried.
But what you can do is see God's wisdom in the laws.
Right, and trust that God's Spirit can guide you to follow that wisdom as you learn to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself.
Wooey. All right, there's a lot to that video. Even though I was like, oofers. All right, so these are called pros Discord. So what was the first divine command? That was at the very beginning. The first command God gave the people. It involved a tree.
Never eat from the tree
The tree evil, right. And so that shows the first divine command, and then what happens. Yeah, and
Wait
it
a second. If you eat a fruit from the tree at 11:59, will you instantly die?
it wasn't about instantly death. It's about how death was entered into humanity. And so they did eventually die. But they were also given multiple times, multiple grace, and multiple times to step into faithful covenant with Yahweh. Well, yeah, so we were kicked out of the garden because death could not be there. Because if we're in a place where we can choose good and bad, which you've seen how evil we can be when we choose good and bad on our own. Now imagine having that inclination and then living for 1,000, 100,000 years. Imagine empires, the empires who had done evil things, like the same empires who will do child sacrifices. Imagine if those people lived for 1,000, 10,000 years. This powers and systems of evil doesn't go away when people live longer, when empires stay longer. It's death is mercy for all of creation. And so, yeah, so not eating from the tree of good and bad, and they broke it, right. So it shows how even the, yeah, you can say it.
When they broke the tree, it showed how the world is going to spiral out into death and destruction.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the symbol of knowing good and bad, and that we can be super bad knowing that by ourselves. So that's why God wants to follow. That's why God wants us to follow Him and trust in His word.
Mm-hmm. So like fast forward a bit, you have the Israelites who also have divine commands, and it's for them, which shows like holiness. Now, were they fully able to stay to the law? No. So they also fell away from the divine command, which means that they're also in lines of Adam and Eve. They were both unable. And so,
To be true to God.
right, and so then fast forward from that to Jesus,
And then
who
He
was,
true one.
yep, he was,
Death could not hold Him.
yep, he was the faithful one where he did not define good and bad on his own.
No. He helped the
Yep.
poor, and He did really good stuff.
Yeah, and he also didn't use his power to exert it over
For-
others.
For himself.
Yeah.
Because at the test, Satan was like, "Oh, I feel
Mhm.
He's like, no.
So yeah, and at the very end he says what the actual royal law is, which is the true law of how this is how we live, but this is how we do eat and living. We love God with heart, soul, mind, and love our
And help
neighbor as
others
ourselves.
in need.
Yeah, love your neighbor as yourself. And so the same love and affection and the same like focus you give on yourself on your sustainability, you
Put
should
on your neighbors and people in need.
right. And then you also give them next level. You also give them how Jesus sees them. Because sometimes that has been used to for some evilness, but we have to take a step back and see people as Jesus sees people. All right, friends, we discussed the video. We can start.
Why? Because it's called block fruits? You want to be blocky? No. It's because it looks better with my white hockey.
Is everything okay there, Logan?
Yeah.
Just checking. You dipped there for a second.
Yeah, this is playing your game.
Okay. All right. You ready for some Elden Rings?
Yep.
Do it.
Are you saying Elden Rings is a meme or?